My next guest is known all over the world, from Basingstoke to Bangkok. He's hailed as the master of visual comedy. But it's a great pleasure tonight to introduce him not as Mr. Bean, but as himself. Will you welcome Rowan Atkinson? I was saying there, Rowan, it is a fact that...
I did nothing.
You wouldn't have done anything when I wasn't looking, would you?
Not behind your back, Des. No.
I said in the intro there that you're known all over the world, from Bangkok to Basingstoke. What sort of reaction are the other countries?
The other countries are very enthusiastic. I mean, it's always strange when you hear of your programmes or think, I mean, I'm sure you experienced this yourself, Des, when things you've done go to countries that you've never been to and whose people you have no knowledge of, and you hear, you know, someone who's doing famine relief in North Africa. They went to the middle of the Sudan where they have no food in this village, but they've got a television and a video, and it was playing Mr. Bean, and they were all crowded into one room watching it. It was extraordinary. But you get Germany, you see, is very odd.
It's showing in Germany, isn't it?
To be well known. I mean, it's traditionally not a good market for British comedy.
They're not big laughers out there.
No, well, they've got their own comedians, believe it or not. There are such things as German comedians, and they but Mr. Bean has done well there, and you get this wonderful fan mail from Germany. They are great letter writers, because Germans are very articulate, very intelligent, very well educated, and they speak English and write English extremely well, but they write it in that quite formalised sort of way that, I mean, I know it's childish and politically incorrect to draw any parallels with Nazis in war films, but there's it's just that unfortunate tone, you know, which you get, which reminds you of that moment. Sorry, it's so childish. It reminds you of that moment when the Nazi officer says, you know, your attitude has been noticed in Berlin. Oh yes. And you get these letters which say, you know, your comedy has been noticed here in Wiesbaden. And you're quite a funny man, as a matter of fact. And it's just a wonderful formality to it, which always makes me... I love German fan mail. It's always amusing. How
do you describe Mr. Bean? If you're asked to do an essay, how do you describe him?
I don't know. Whenever I'm trying to think of how he would, you know, behave in any situation or how he'd react to certain things, that I just always think of a 10-year-old boy, because that, in essence, is what he is. Indeed, I mean, quite a lot of people ask me, you know, whether myself and Mr. Bean have anything in common. And I always try to deny that there's anything, you know, in common between us whatsoever, for obvious reasons. But in fact, strictly, I suppose that there is quite a bit of me when I was 10 in Mr. Bean. Just that curious combination that 10-year-olds and 10-year-old boys in particular can exhibit, you know, where they seem to be so sweet and innocent one minute, and then the next minute they are the nastiest objects on two legs. And that swing from, you know, from innocence and sweetness to utter vindictiveness is the essence of Bean. He's a very childlike mind, which I think is why children, you know, like him and like the videos so much, because they identify with it. And adults, meanwhile, are congratulating themselves that they're nothing like him. Or at least they think they're nothing like him, but they always seem to see.
There are a few about, aren't there?
Yeah, absolutely. He's based on some kind of reality.
How was the character created? I mean, did somebody just sit... I mean, I don't think you just sit down and invent him, can you? Did he happen in some way?
He just happened because we thought of a joke. And
a joke?
We thought of one joke. Well, it wasn't even a joke. It was the idea of a man who couldn't stay awake. That was the idea. That was the idea that we wrote for a theatre show in 1979. So it was 10 years, in fact, after that, before he appeared on television. I just used to do him on stage, this man in a tweed jacket, who didn't even have a name.
What did he do? I mean, you can't throw it away with just one line and say you wrote a joke. I mean...
Well, yes, it was my co-writer, Richard Curtis, had this idea. He said, we were sick of writing verbal sketches and words, and he said, you know, why don't we just think of a visual thing so we don't have to write any words? And he said, I know, a man who can't stay awake, you know, a man who has to stay awake. And they turned into a church sketch, which was in the very first video and programme of Mr. Bean, where he can't stay awake in church and he keeps falling asleep, and then he blows his nose and he's got stuff on the handkerchief. He can't find a handkerchief, so he has to blow it on the lining of his pocket. And so that's and we just started with the joke, and then we tried to act out. You know, what would you do? You know, what kind of situation must you stay awake? And it would be very bad if you fell asleep in church, sermon. You know what you're not supposed to do. So that's where he began. So we started with the joke, and then the character was developed.
There's been so many characters: the policeman, So I love this new one in the Barclay car commercial.
Yes.
Is he a spy? What is he? I haven't worked out what he is.
He's a latter-day spy. He's someone who's been left behind, really. You
Does he have a name?
The 60s, yeah, Richard Latham. He's been kind of left behind by the politically correct period in which we live, where you don't have, stun grenades and things in order to solve international espionage. All you're given is a credit card from the company which we won't have to mention too often. Barclay card! But he has the card, and that's the only weapon he's given, is this bit of plastic, but he does remarkably well, and we've been all over the world with him.
I know, I love the new one, the commercial with the carpet.
Yes, that's right.
That is wonderful.
We did that in Egypt, and we've been to Moscow, and
I don't want to leave that carpet one just for a moment. When you were talking to the Eastern gentleman,
oh yeah,
and you're talking languages, is that real language or is it mumbo jumbo?
I hope not. I hope not.
Can you give me a little burst of what it was you said to him or he said to you?
Shamali dak dak. That was the moment. They said no. It's just garbage. I'm afraid. I mean, slightly, quite well scripted garbage, but rubbish.
One of the very favourite scenes for me, Mr. Bean, was when he was changing his... he was on a beach. And he was changing his swimming trunks. There was no trick photography there.
No, it's real. No.
Can anyone do that?
Yes, you can. Look, let me demonstrate. Do you want to see? You
just happen to have your chance.
It's amazing how many props you keep in your sofa. How many useful things
you
keep in your sofa.
To do this. Look at
no,
this.
it's just that I want to prove that it's not a trick, because generally when you see something in a film or on television, you assume it's a trick.
So we can get
you assume it's a trick. I don't know what happens. Yes, the swimming trunks go on over the trousers. You can do this with underpants, swimming trunks, boxer shorts. You can do it whatever you want. But here's a pair of sort of slightly trendy-looking swimming trunks. Oh dear, the wire's getting in the way. No, you put them on like that. And you can do this anyway, literally. Airports, wherever you want. Chemist shops. You can just give it a go. Now, what you've got to do... Goodness sake, hope this works. Really, nothing indecent. It'll be fine. Don't panic. You undo your trousers, basically, get them nice and floppy. And then you sort of feed the trousers down through... Now, there's no tricks here. There's no zip. There's no... Well, there is, but I haven't done it. Not that. So you do that. Yippee, flesh. It's here. And there you go. You go like that, right? So far, so good.
It's a difficult bit now.
Yeah, exactly. Tricky, you see? So far, so good. So what are you going to do? You got to get the... Now, in fact, I have a horrible feeling this is going to be more difficult. No, rescue. There you go. You get one leg out, right? Now, I mean, it's vaguely dexterous, but that's it. And there you are. You're in that position. Then all you do is you pull the leg through. So you're right. Very simple.